Hey everybody, hope you're all well. Hope you're all finally excited to be entering our finals week. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. The semester's almost over. Seems to have gone very fast, but we are entering our 8th week and our final exam week, and also approaching our last paper of the semester, our argument paper. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you today on preparing for that paper. So I want to take you really quick to our uh, chapter 13 in our text. Chapter 13 in our text. I want to show you just a couple things here real quick. Let me go back. So, of course, chapter 13, arguing a position. And I want to show you a few things. I want to show you a few things. As you know, you had a couple of projects this week. Um, some little projects where you were asked to take a position on a topic. Um, you were asked to find um, an argument supporting your position, a counter argument, and then something called a refutation. And then, of course, you're going to write a bibliography on those two articles. So we're going to talk about that in a minute, but you're probably also wondering, what in the heck did this guy ask us to do these little projects for? Well, this is all going to come together here when you write your final paper this week. So let me show you a couple things. You're going to be writing a final essay. You can start working on that beginning on Monday of next week, Monday the 22nd. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples. So as you know, chapter 13, right? That is our kind of our key chapter for this block, arguing a position, which is essentially making an argument, making a persuasive argument, convincing something that your position is right. This chapter, of course, has the few essays here at the beginning. It has also these very important key features, right? All of these features, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on them because I'm sure you worked on them all week. All of these features should be part of your argument, right? You should have as your thesis statement a clear and arguable, debatable thesis, background information in your introduction, good reason, reason number one that, my position is right is because of this, evidence to support that position, appeals to your readers' values, a trustworthy tone, you don't want to come across as like snarky or mean or any of that kind of stuff. And then carefully considering other people's positions, like counter arguments, right? There might be other people who don't believe your position, so you want to kind of carefully consider their point of view as well, right? And then towards the end, it gives you some ideas of how to approach this paper and all that kind of stuff, right? So I know you read all through that kind of stuff. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time this morning going through there. You can might be helpful to study that in the next couple days. But what I do want to show you is this one particular example essay, and it is the second one, actually. The first one was called All Words Matter, the Manipulation Behind All Lives Matter, which is a pretty good example, right? It's got some annotations and things like that that might be helpful. But I think the second one has some really good examples that might be really helpful to you, especially when it comes to the essay/final exam that you're going to be working on here in the next couple of days. And I say that because it really has all of the examples and qualities of the paper that you're going to be writing, at least in this class. All right. So first of all, remember when you come up with your topic, of course, you're not going to know the topic until you open up the exam next week, and we'll talk about that in a second. The topic of this person's paper, of course, right, you'll see that she is, like you guys, a college student. She attends Wilkes University. So her paper is right MLA format and all that kind of stuff. Very similar to the one you're going to be writing. And her topic, very interesting one, is that theater programs should employ or should advocate for having disability performers, disability actors playing the parts of disability roles, right? So instead of having like, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but uh, if there's a character in a movie or a play who is disabled, well, instead of having just some kind of just a regular old actor play that part, you should actually have a person with a disability play that part. You know what I mean? So this is what this person is making her argument on is um, theater programs, theater uh, 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 roles should be who are disabled should be taken by those who actually have disabilities. Okay, so she has some background information here in the introduction, and you can read about it here. And then her thesis here I have all these highlighted here, so it'll be easier for you to find as you study this. I have it in blue here. Essentially, she says representation, how we portray ourselves and are portrayed by others, is incredibly important to all groups of people, but especially to people with disabilities. And then she kind of goes on, and then you'll see she comes up with her first reason, right? Well, first reason I believe in this is because, and then she comes up with this. Here's the first reason. One, there are not enough actors with disabilities available to play the roles. Sometimes the character needs to go through time where they're not disabled, blah, 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 blah. And she comes up with the story of Stephen Hawking, who was actually played by an able-bodied actor named Eddie Redmayne. So she comes up with the first reason, and you'll see that she, didn't just come up with the top of their head. As you know, she had to come up with a source. She had to come up with a source, so she cited it. And I know you're all very familiar with citations and all that kind of stuff. So this was the first reason to support her argument, her thesis that she made, right? Disability roles should be played by people who actually have disabilities. So this is the first reason. You can see all of her reasons are supported with good evidence that are cited. And her essay kind of goes on. She's got other reasons and stuff like this. Your final exam is not going to be this sophisticated. In fact, I'm only going to be looking for one supporting argument, one counter argument. So it actually won't be that bad. But nonetheless, you can see all of her reasons are supported with citations. That's very, very important. All right. And then she goes on to say, well, there are those who believe that that might not be such a hot idea. In fact, highlighted in green here, you can see the counter arguments, right? The counter arguments. There's always two sides to a story, right? So as good as perhaps as common sense as you would think that, well, of course we should have disability, people with disability play those roles. Seems like an obvious choice to me. There's always two sides of the story, right? Some famous TV psychologist once said, well, I don't care how flat you make a pancake, there's always two sides to it. Remember, right? You know, so that anyway. So here's the counter arguments. I had those highlighted in green. Some actors and directors worry that casting people with disabilities in disabled roles, they face typecasting them, right? That means they'll always be typecasted. So that would be the bad side to this. That would be the other position. And you can see that's also cited, right? So this person got another source to find the opposing viewpoint. People with disabilities originally had a connection to disability theater through the world of freak shows. Freak shows challenge the boundaries of the individual, and this is the source from which you got that. Okay, so you've got your one supporting argument, you've got your counter argument. In fact, you guys did that earlier this week. In fact, I think some of you are still working on it. But that would be coming up with your position and then a counter argument, right? The other side of your position. Position, supporting argument, and a counter argument. Well, then sometimes we also come up with something called a refutation, where you sort of refute the counter argument, right? That's basically saying like, well, I believe, actually, of course, you're never going to say, I believe. You might say, well, studies show, that, people believe that, disabled people should play the roles of people who actors who take on those roles. Um, however, on the other hand, some people believe this. And what a refutation says is you kind of go back to the original argument. Um, and that's what she does way down here. Nowadays, we have countless organizations and forums that celebrate disability. So now she's going back to her original argument, right? She's going back to the original argument, right? Where she's basically saying, yeah, well, so I was kind of right in the first place, right? You know, she's not really saying that, but she's going right back to her original argument. So she let kind of the person have her say, you know, the other person saying, well, you know, people with disabilities had that kind of connection. They'll be typecasted. And then she's kind of going back, just sort of driving home her original point, saying, yeah, well, but actually, people who are disabled should really take those roles, right? She's saying that in so many words here. But nowadays, we have countless organizations and forms of media that celebrate disability theater. And she has that cited as well, right? So everything is cited. Everything is cited. So you understand what refutation means? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. So she's got a supporting argument, she's got a counter argument, and then she's refuting this counter argument with essentially one more supporting argument, right? But the supporting argument, or I'm sorry, the refutation is completely different than the first supporting argument. Okay? Now, I'm telling you all this because this is exactly what your final exam is going to be. You're going to be writing an essay that's going to be very similar to this. You're going to have a topic that you don't know yet. You'll know it next week. It might be something like, I don't know, we'll say for the sake of example, legalizing marijuana, right? So you might say something like, you know, marijuana should be legalized because of, I don't know, because it could make the state of Kansas millions and millions and billions of dollars. And then you might say something, well, on the other hand, you know, the state really shouldn't encourage all this, you know, nasty stuff that could harm children. And then you might refute it by saying, well, but every other state in the country except 4 are doing it, so we might as well hop on board, right? So that's kind of the structure of what your final exam, final argument paper is going to be, right? And I only need one of each. So one supporting argument, one counter argument, one refutation. That kind of makes sense. And of course, you're going to be citing everything, and you're going to have a works cited list at the end that's going to have a list of your sources. Now, of course, you're only going to have 2 sources, and I'm going to provide those 2 sources. So using the same example, I might have one sort of pro-marijuana article, and I might have one counter marijuana article. You know, one article that says, yeah, man, we should have, you know, every household should have, you know, pot farms in their backyard. Another one that should say, no, you know, wacky tobacco is a bad thing for the economy, whatever, right? So you'll have both of your articles, and then you're going to have to know how to cite, how to create a works cited list. So I'm going to provide you a couple of things for your final exam. I'm going to provide you with a link to your textbook, but it's only going to take you to your MLA page, right? You're not going to be able to navigate all over the place, right? You're not going to be able to navigate to chapter 13 or any of that kind of stuff. You'll only be able to navigate to your MLA section. You can only navigate to the MLA section, okay? I'm also going to provide you a link to the Noodle Tools section so that you'll be able to, you know, look at the 2 articles. So for example, you might look at an article like this, for example, right? You remember how to do this? You might be able to look at an article like this, right? This is the one you're working on now. And by looking at this, you'll be able to generate your own works cited entry, okay? So you're going to have to know how to do all that. You're going to have to know how to do all that, right? So I will provide you with the link to the MLA section of your textbook. I'm going to provide you a link to the Noodle Tools program so that you can generate your works cited listing. But you're going to have to know how to create your works cited entries. We've been doing it all semester long. You should know how to do it by now. And remember, right, when you cite things, right, so imagine this is this is the source, source one that you're going to be using. And if you quote something, something like this, right? You quote this, you're going to have to know what page number it came from. You're going to have to know who the author is, all that stuff, because you're going to be citing it in your paper. So this might be the supporting argument. This might be the counter argument. And you're going to have to know how to cite these things. Remember the page numbers. Remember how to properly cite it, right? If one of them has more than one author, keep that in mind, right? There's special ways to cite all that. Those might be the kinds of things that you're going to have to study. Okay? All right. Now, one last thing. Remember, I cannot emphasize this enough. This is a final exam, right? So imagine you are in a face-to-face college classroom. This is a final exam. It's a serious, structured um, uh, environment. So just as if you were in a college classroom, there are no cell phones. You cannot wear hats. You cannot have notes. Obviously, there can't be people wandering around. I know we've had we've had Zoom meetings. Some of you guys were like in a library or in a kitchen or something like that, and there's people wandering around. That cannot happen. That cannot happen with this final exam. So please find uh, a quiet place where it's just you in front of the camera. Um, if the system, Honor Lock or I see anybody in the picture, a cell phone, anyone else, you'll you'll fail the exam. I mean, it's that simple. This is it's a final exam. I don't know what else to tell you. You cannot leave. You will have 90 minutes to take this exam. So please do not click to start on this exam until you are absolutely sure that you're ready to take it. Have your ID card ready. And again, once you start it, you cannot leave the room. So, make sure if you have to, use a little boy's room or little girl's room, do that first. You can't stop it and start it, once the test is started. Again, have your ID card ready. You'll have, when you see lesson 16, when you open that on Monday, you'll have all these instructions. You'll know exactly what you need to do, but I'm just kind of preparing you for what's to come. But just know that it's a very, very I don't know what's the word, sort of a strict environment when you take this final exam. Probably a little more so than, well, a lot more than when you did that uh, writing sample prep type thing at the beginning of the semester. So please just know that. I wouldn't, as I said, this exam is going to open up first thing Monday morning. I probably would not just jump right into it to get it out of the way. But think about it, maybe study a little bit, do all that kind of stuff. Now the semester ends on Thursday, the 25th. I don't know that I would wait until Thursday night at 10:30 to start it. But that's just kind of up to you. The semester for the entire campus ends on Thursday, the 25th. So keep that in mind. Blackboard might be a little bit slow because everybody's going to be trying to rush to complete their finals this week. So you might want to consider that too, right? This might be a little bit slower toward the end of the week. So, just kind of keep all that stuff in mind. So, if you have any questions, please let me know before you decide to click on start for the final, because once you start it, the semester is effectively over. I can't do anything for you after you start the final. Once you've started it and once you've completed it, summer semester 2024 is over. So if you have questions on anything, please let me know before you start taking the final. All right. Please, again, read everything carefully. And again, good luck to you all. Thank you for all your hard work this semester. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys wandering around on campus sometime. If not, be dropping me a line. Let me know how you're all doing. It's been a pleasure meeting all of you, and I hope to see you all again sometime. Good luck to you all. Take care.